Hi, I'm Brett Parker, Multimedia Specialist for Snack Food and Wholesale Bakery. Today we're highlighting Amia, a snack food company that specializes in trigger-free foods. Here to discuss their methods is Jon Katz, the founder and CEO. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I'm excited to be here.
Could you explain what in your background led you to want to create a health-conscious snack?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been very health conscious myself. Starting just growing up, always playing sports. After I graduated college, health is so important to me. To maintain the mental clarity in my day, I need to be in the gym. I need to consume good, healthy foods. I've personally cut back on things like drinking. Doesn't mean I don't drink. I wouldn't call myself sober, but for me, just mental clarity is so important in my day to day. So I take my health and fitness very, very seriously. The reason I started this company, it's Amia. The reason I started Amia was because I found that there was no brand out there solving the migraine problem around food. And so I've been getting migraines since I was 7 years old. I get essentially cluster migraines, and so those migraines come for me in spurts of anywhere from two to five in a span of a week, and then I won't get another one for 2 months or so, and that's the cluster. But I ended up getting 12 migraines in the span of about 3 weeks back in January of this year, and started doing some research on more holistic ways that I could heal my headache, and came across the book Heal Your Headache by Dr. David Buchholz. He's a neurologist that had been specializing in migraines for over 3 decades, and he worked with his 3,000 plus patients over that time to really understand what triggers existed for people with migraines. And what he found was that things high in tyramine, histamine, sulfites, and nitrates were very, very common among his patients. And as I started to implement this, quote, diet for myself, I realized it was very challenging and there was no food brand making it easy and convenient for me to do that. And so that's when the idea for Amia really came about.
So can you explain what methods Mia employs to make snacks that are more trigger-free and devoid of these migraine symptoms?
Yeah, so I mean, if you think of like the allergen-free market or gluten-free market, let's pick the allergen-free market. So the common allergies have been growing. It started, I think, with eight common foods, and now I think it's 12, 13, 14, something like that. But foods like nuts and tree nuts and shellfish and things like that are all common allergies for people. Similar to that with migraines, things like nuts and chocolate and soy and gluten and certain types of dairy, artificial sweeteners, MSG, things like cured meats, peppers, even spinach, because it's spinach is high in tyramine. Red wine, beer. There's a whole list of things that are common triggers. They're inflammatory in our gut, and that causes the blood vessels in the brain to dilate and really trigger that migraine episode. And so what we do at Trigger Free at Amia, which is essentially a trigger-free food brand, is essentially make everything that we make is free of those common triggers. And so it doesn't mean it's going to be, perfect for everybody. Someone who maybe has a trigger in a food that is not common may end up in our products. But for example, the product we just launched, which is a gluten-free oat and seed bar, contains gluten-free oats, 4 superfood seeds, natural sweeteners, so brown rice and agave, both fairly low on the glycemic. At least agave is lower on the glycemic, which is why we mix the brown rice syrup with the agave, and then coconut oil. So it's very, very clean, no migraine triggers in there. So if you are, or no common migraine triggers. So if you do suffer from migraines, it's a great snack.
Can you discuss the art of creating a healthy snack food that still has a delicious taste? Like, how do you find that balance without sacrificing consumer enjoyment?
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, we went through 20 plus iterations of our product and product development. I think for me with our product, we sugar or artificial sugars are not good for people with migraines. Natural sweeteners are more okay. So we were able to put in the brown rice syrup and agave to give it that sweet, delicious taste. And it is a delicious bar. For snacks that are looking to be very, very low sugar, that's extremely challenging because sugar is what creates that, delicious taste in many ways, right? Especially if you're doing something, trying to do something a little more sweet. If it's more savory, you're going to have higher sodium, higher salt content. So it's tough. It's just a constant iteration with food scientists. So I hired a food science team out of Colorado in Denver. And we just went through all the different types of ingredients that we could use that were trigger free, but also satisfied that taste requirement. And I think, we nailed it, but it wasn't easy.
So, when creating your snacks, what ideals have you learned about making healthy food that most snack companies could be more conscious of?
Oh, it's a good question. To be honest, I'm very inward thinking right now. I'm trying to think what other companies can do better. I mean, at the end of the day, it's quality ingredients, right? And what ends up happening over time is as you scale, you start to sacrifice on the quality ingredient side because you're looking to bring your cost down. And so it's one sacrifice after the next that probably continues to happen until you get to a completely different product that you really did not intend to have. But as we're looking to, improve margins, improve profitability over time with scale, I think a lot of larger companies kind of go down that path, and there's investor pressure, profitability pressure just to, hit certain cash flow requirements and hit your metrics. And so there's sacrifices along the way on the product that I think a lot of larger companies kind of fall into.
And taking your methods into the future, what kind of new snacks do you feel you can create with your refined health conscious methods?
Yeah, we have a number of not even just snacks, but different foods that we're planning to make. Our goal is to own the pantry of households living with migraine, which means that, it could be everything from all types of snacks. So obviously cookies and chips and pretzel type stuff, to granolas and cereals, as well as even far outside of that, dressings and condiments and sauces. I think the trigger-free category, which we're really coining and kicking off, is just at its infancy stage. We're leading the charge and really creating that. So for me, it really comes down to any category possible that is probably outside of, fresh produce and meat. We look to potentially get into.
Wonderful. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. Jon Katz, founder and CEO of Amia, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for watching.